Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard here today as the Edmonton Oilers, well, as far as I know, still not doing much. But that leads me to discuss maybe from an Oilers fan perspective, the Calgary Flames. And now why would I do that? Well, for those of you that follow the channel here, you'd know pretty closely that I'm not too far away from old Cowtown there, the old Stampede City, just a few blocks down the street it feels like at this point. So yeah, of course, there is a little bit of affection on my part for Calgary simply because if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, and we all know what happened back in 22, all right? Let's not kid ourselves. That was something dang special. There's a reason you want the Calgary Flames to be good, and it usually leads to really good hockey games for the Edmonton Oilers and the best of the best out of the Edmonton Oilers. So just thought I'd, now literally talking about Matthias Janmark and the trade to come and stuff yesterday there. It's one of those things where I definitely thought for sure maybe I should talk about the Calgary Flames a little bit here for you today. As well, what are we expecting? I know there's some articles out on NHL.com that I've seen, and obviously I think everybody expects if the Calgary Flames do not regress over last year's standing stature, they are only to improve. And now I think there's also a key thing here. It'll really depend on just how much of a step forward or step backward the Vancouver Canucks take this year, and possibly where the Seattle Kraken ultimately see themselves finishing. Now, you could say also the same is true for maybe the Anaheim Ducks, where maybe, under a new head coach, they start putting things together and becoming a bit of a problem. But the Calgary Flames, based on the model they used to win as many games as they did last year in a year in which was supposed to be really just a pure on tear down rebuild, they really made something special of it behind a young goaltender in Wolf, and of course behind a hard-working, hard-nosed attitude that they were going to grind out every single game till the bitter end. If they won, great. If they didn't, it's okay. And the Calgary Flames came up with a result just short of the Stanley Cup Playoffs last year. So from an Edmonton Oilers fan perspective this year, I hope they can continue that because, again, the Oilers, they should be dug into the games a little bit more early on this year. Obviously, we're starting the year with the Battle of Alberta, so you could have some really big fireworks at least to start the season. I know last year we had an early Battle of Alberta, and it was kind of a joke out of the Oilers. So maybe this year the message gets sent early on, and both teams are ready and raring to compete start to finish 1-182 or 1-82. Almost baseballed myself there. But yeah, basically looking forward to what should be a strong campaign if the Flames indeed choose to go down the same path as last year. And I think they've got some tools, some young guys coming in, and obviously some guys that are still here in a Rasmus Andersson that could really allow them to do the job. But that's where this all shifts. The name that just got mentioned there in Rasmus Andersson is a big key holder to what happens, in my view, for the Calgary Flames. I know always as an Edmonton Oilers YouTube content creator, I'm always talking about Bob Stauffer, but if you're down here in Calgary, you get to listen to Pat Steinberg and the Flames radio as well. And there's been a lot of mention of really Rasmus Andersson will be the big signal of what the Flames are going to do this year, basically because he's at this point a distraction. I think is what Flames radio has put him down as. Whether the Flames want to call him a distraction, whether he wants to call himself a distraction or not, basically it is the largest question looming over the young Calgary Flames that are trying to move into that next stage as they get close to that new building, kind of like the Oilers did a few years back. But obviously looking forward to trying to get the most return for a player that might not be here long term. And the issue was everything that happened last year extended Rasmus Andersson's stay because the Flames were quite literally having success compared to where they thought they'd be. And it's kind of funny there, Costco as well, Justin Kirkland, if he would have stayed healthy a little bit, I have no clue what the results could have been for the Calgary Flames last year, just based on, there was a lot of just fire and a lot of gusto in that Flames team last year that really nobody had accounted for being there. So, coming into this year, if Rasmus Andersson is dealt with early or just not dealt with at all and allowed to play it out and hopefully return to the playoffs with the Calgary Flames, that would be, as an Oilers fan looking on the outside in, the most Calgary Flames thing they could do. And whether Andersson signs or not after that doesn't matter. It's kind of hilarious that the Flames, have always been just good enough to be in that mushy middle, whether they make the playoffs or they just miss. And the Oilers have either been really good or really bad. And, maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Oilers had a period there where they kind of found the same success as the Flames have over the past several years. I know the Flames have a division title and we don't over the past 10 years. So that's a whole other thing. But yeah, from an Edmonton Oilers fan perspective, I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about the Calgary Flames this year. There's a lot of reason to be excited about what that could mean in the playoffs for the Edmonton Oilers, especially considering the Oilers are looking, again, this is same as the Flames, looking to improve upon last year's stature. And if the Oilers take things more seriously at the start of the year, you should be looking at a division-winning team. Now you look at that and how that lines up with the wild cards and stuff, and all of a sudden the Flames have just a marginally better year, and you've got a Battle of Alberta in the first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, and a Battle of Alberta in the playoffs again for the second time in like 4 years. That's all right with me, man. I'm going to be good with that, specifically if I get a chance to live stream again here over the span of next summer. So for the Edmonton Oilers, what happens, what comes next? Well, hopefully success. And for the Flames, we're looking for the very much so the same. Because, honestly, Alberta, as you saw in 2022, and especially if you're a fan outside of the province or a fan outside of the country, and you heard or saw anything of that chaotic Battle of Alberta in 2022, you would love to see it here in 2025 with Connor McDavid about to take basically the last few top flight moments of his career, possibly, right? I think, unless he ages like Crosby, but McDavid's right there in his prime window and looking to win that Stanley Cup in a Battle of Alberta first round of the playoffs. Man, would that set the tone for a Stanley Cup victory. So hopefully the Edmonton Oilers can continue to achieve their success, and for the Calgary Flames, looking from the outside in, hopefully they can figure out a way to bring home a big result this year and excite us in the Stanley Cup playoffs, specifically against the Edmonton Oilers. Again, if the Flames are going to make the playoffs and lose out in the first round without ever facing the Oilers, that'll be a little bit of a disappointment. But from an Oilers fan perspective, if we can line up that first round matchup because the Flames choose to do the same thing they did last year, that would be absolutely legit. So friends, thank you so much for being aboard here today. If you are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button here on Dolynny TV. Love to have you aboard. Even if you are a Flames fan, you'll be able to catch me down at the Saddle Dome enough times during a season that, hey, you know what? It's all good. I do have a soft spot for Calgary, even as an Edmonton Oilers fan. For right now, though, I'm up on out of here. Have yourself a great day. We'll talk later.